Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I'm Will, and I got my co-host here, the Greeze. Say hello, Greeze.
Hello!
It's not a very good Greeze impression.
I'm not doing him justice, and I apologize. It's the cold.
I'm gonna live forever! Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of This Is My Bourbon Podcast. I am your host, Perry. This week, we're doing something kind of crazy, kind of different. It's not normally this person sitting across from me. Well, at least on the show.
It's been a while.
It's been a little while. Bringing you the dulcet baritone voice as it stands right now is old Papa Ritter.
Good evening, Perry. Good evening, listeners.
How
is everybody?
Dad's a little sick, so if he sounds a little off his game, you know why.
This is day 8 of the cold.
That is miserable.
And Sarah had it. Kathy's got it.
Dane's got it a little bit.
Dane's got the cat scratch fever. Can I do something real fast? Can I start off with a little something I've kind of been planning?
Go ahead. Yeah.
I'd like to tell a joke.
Oh, no. Please, no.
I'm going to put my teeth in. And I'm going to tell a joke. Man walks in.
No.
No.
Cletus, I know you're listening, and that one was for you, buddy.
No.
That was for you.
Perry.
What? Dad?
What do you call
No.
a cow? Wait.
Oh, here we go. This is a good one.
What do you call a cow that jumps over a barbed wire fence?
I know this one, but I'm gonna let you have the punchline.
Utter destruction. You know, kids, you got to keep it clean.
Especially on a bus with a mixed company that you don't know. But that's a story for another time.
I wasn't on
Maybe
that bus.
today.
I'm glad.
I'm not sure.
No, we'll see.
So, today's episode we're going to be talking about, because I'm still kind of coming off of the high that was the podcast Whiskey Weekend. I wanted to talk about making whiskey memories.
Okay.
And how maybe, bourbon's not the end-all, be-all for these memories, but it could very well be the conduit for it, right?
Or just making drinking memories.
Sure. So we're going to talk about that. We've got a really special side-by-side that we're going to be doing later on as well. You already know what it is from the episode description. It is Kentucky Owl Rise batches 1 and 2. I really screwed that up.
It's okay.
But it's okay. But to get the show kicked off,
We got a little flying blind
we got
here.
Flying Blind. I got a floater in my glass.
Dude.
I think yeah.
And it's so... Hey, this is my first time on the show in the bourbon room.
In the bourbon room, yeah.
And it's really cool.
Welcome to the studio.
It's really cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I know that on the live stream you've kind of showed around a little bit, but to be in here, Command Central,
Where the magic happens.
where it all comes together, folks.
It's a very caramel heavy nose, I would say. There's not a whole lot of much of anything else other than a little bit of mustiness that I'm kind of picking up.
So we're thinking it's a little old?
I can confirm. It's a little old.
It's got a little spice on the midsection.
Oh yeah.
On the tongue.
Where the nose was kind of lacking, the palate's really coming
Yeah.
through. That's good.
That's really good.
I could just live in that forever.
There's it's all in the middle. There's not for me. There's not much in the front or the back, but it's really good.
There's a little bit of vanilla on the back end,
A little.
and the finish is nice and long. That Kentucky Hug is really, really nice.
Yeah.
And the mouthfeel is incredible. It's really creamy. Kind of reminds me of vanilla ice cream.
It's a little I'm getting that. I'm getting that heavy feeling. What I was going to ask is, have you told about the glasses?
Oh yeah, we talked about the glasses a
Okay.
bunch. Yeah,
because these are Dane's Christmas present too.
Speaking of glasses, I don't know if I've told you or not, but you like?
Yeah, I like
it's
a
really
lot,
good.
Yeah.
Travis Gintz, my buddy, he made me a Perry pour glass.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, so I have a Perry pour Glencairn
Nice.
now, which I absolutely love.
Is it a 4-gallon?
Yes. All right, you want to know what this is? Mm-hmm. This was also courtesy of Travis Gintz.
Nice.
He had a little bit left of this that he wanted me to have on the show. This is a Jim Beam decanter that was barreled in 1956.
Oh my gosh.
And bottled in 1964.
Oh my God. That's the year I was born.
An 8-year-old. There you go.
Do the math, kids.
An 8-year-old Jim Beam decanter.
Wow, Perry.
From your birth year.
That is really good.
Yeah.
That was very good.
And there's just a
Thanks,
little,
Travis.
little hair of
That's yours.
a drop left.
That's you.
Which I'll just
You do it. Just knock it back. He's knocking it back, folks. He's knocking it back.
And when I said I was going to take a sip out of my glass, my sip was basically the entire, quarter of an ounce that I poured for myself.
It was not that.
No. But anyway, thank you, Travis, for
Travis, thank you.
letting us partake in that. It was a very good little surprise that I wanted to throw Dad's way there. But,
I appreciate it.
hey, Dad,
Hey, talk to me, Dad.
what have you been drinking recently?
Well, I have been the old standards, Buffalo Trace, Special Reserve. I took that. We went away a couple weeks ago, so I took that with us. Blanton's. I've got bottles that I have of new things that I haven't opened yet. That
One of them sitting on the table.
One of them sitting on the table. One of them is subject to review soon, and I told Barry that I wouldn't. And I'm not going to say what it is.
Yeah, that's coming up probably in the next few weeks.
Yeah, and when you all review it, that's when I'll open it and enjoy it with you. A couple of bottles from a Northern Kentucky distillery that haven't been opened yet. One that you don't know that I have. One that you know I have.
Did you get a New Riff single barrel? Where'd you get it from? Did you get it from South Carolina?
No.
Oh, okay.
I got it from Total Wines.
Oh, awesome.
It was their pick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Man, I love those New Riff picks. Just New Riff in general. You know, I was saying last year that they're not necessarily a new distillery, but they are easily one of the best new distillers because this is the first time that they've put out their own distillate.
You're right.
With New Riff. I just think they're doing everything right.
I'll be just totally honest with you and listeners. I don't know anything about them. I'm going by from what you said. There's a bourbon that is only available in and you and I've talked about this as well. New York. I think it's weird, like New York, Massachusetts, and a couple other states because I looked on their website, and that's 3 Chords bourbon. That's Neil
we did talk
Giraldo,
about,
Pat Benatar's husband, and if they ever come here, I don't know. It's not that I'm not going to drink anything until they get here. I'm really just interested in their arrival.
Yeah.
And
I want to try them too. I know that they followed you on social media, and I need to, get them back.
And I have been in contact with somebody from I don't know who does their Instagram, but somebody from 3 Chords, and I'm trying to get them to either Skype or telephone interview or something with you, so you can
that'd
have
be great.
them on. And I'll reach out again.
Oh man, sorry. I also just poured. Speaking of whiskey memories, seems like a lot of my whiskey memories recently have been centered around Wild Turkey, for one reason or another. This is a 2010 Wild Turkey.
Wow,
which
it's the year before you graduated high school.
The year I started dating Lucy.
Well, that's more important.
Anyway, I poured a little bit of it and had a sip, and it's dang good. It's dang good. Well, I recently, let's see, what have I been drinking?
Hold on, let me go back.
Oh, okay.
When we were in Charleston, and I've had it with you before, but I ordered a Bullet bourbon
for the first time in a while.
And I couldn't get over it. It's excellent. It's really very good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's really not bad at all. And but the smokiness of the finish.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
From the bottle that I had. So
agree.
anyway,
yeah. I think I had Bullet sometime recently too. And it was good. I just, I haven't had it in a
a long time. Yeah.
and was pretty pleasantly surprised by it.
I was too. And I told Kathy, I told Mom that I'd probably
Mom.
Mom.
My mom.
Not my mom. All you people do is bourbon. That I probably, when I need something again, I'll probably go get a bottle.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, why not?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I like the 10-year and the barrel proof better
Yeah.
than I do
Just the run of the mill.
the regular, yeah. And then at some point we need to review the 12-year rye that just came out, but I haven't had a chance to pick that up.
Okay.
But that's on all the listeners, that's on the radar here in the near future.
All you people listening.
Anyway,
and how do you listen to the show, kids? Chime in sometime. Do you listen
on your way
to
to work?
On the way to work? Do you listen to it at home while you're having a pour?
With a glass? Yeah. I tell you, it's funny because listening to bourbon podcasts or watching bourbon shows, it's bourbon night, bourbon up, whatever. It just makes me want to have a drink. So
and see, I
totally understand.
And I listen to it when I'm doing work.
Yeah.
It's like, what am I doing? Why?
Why am I doing this to myself?
Why am I doing this at 10:30 in the morning? Why? Why?
Well, I've been drinking recently. I talked about it a little bit on last week's live stream, but the amount of stuff that we got to drink on Whiskey Weekend was ridiculous. And I'm not going to regale the whole schmear of bourbons and whiskeys that we got to try while we were there. But if you do want to hear all that, the podcast just came out with an episode this week that is really good. And no, I'm not on there.
Okay.
But they talk about all the different things that we got to try and enjoy and everything. So there's that.
Those guys are cool.
They're great.
They're really great guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
What do you do?
We went to OBC the other night.
We did.
For Sarah's belated birthday.
We did.
I got a really good Four Roses pick that I was on.
I had that as well.
You had that too. It was an OBSQ that they actually proofed down to their normal single barrel at 100 proof. And then after that, I got batch 8 of Elijah Craig barrel proof, which I had never had before and was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I just was blown away by it.
I had a little taste of that too.
And I'm kind of looking for a bottle right now. So if anybody, but that's really about it. I had an Eli Mason Old Fashioned yesterday for National Cocktail Day.
You know what I had?
What?
Bourbon.
There you go.
Fair enough. I have to add something that I also have been drinking too. Trader Joe's. We've said this before. For $15, and they've changed the distilleries, it's really not that
Yeah, they
bad.
changed where they're sourcing from, and I think originally they were sourcing from...
Four Roses, I thought, wasn't it?
No, it was either Four Roses or Buffalo Trace. And now they've switched over to the Barton Distillery. And, I mean, it's like night and day in terms of quality.
It really is.
And, I mean, I'm not the biggest Barton fan in the world, but it's still pretty good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, especially at that price.
Yeah, it's a totally different taste, and it's a good everyday drink, as you all know. I mainly drink bourbon with a splash of water. I mean, that's my preference when I'm, when we're before dinner cocktails, and I mean that's just what I prefer, and it fits well with the water. I'm not saying that I don't drink things neat, because I do. I've learned to.
Around me a lot more, too.
Around you a lot more. But, I have that time alone by myself at night where I'm just kind of listening to tunes or something, and I will find something in the basement and just enjoy in a rocks glass and try not to overdo it.
There you go. Yeah.
Like I bought that. You suggested what what Dustin purchased the other day.
The WB Saffel.
Yeah, and I tried that the other night.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
It's good stuff.
It really is.
Yeah.
And the Bond whatever.
Bond and Lillard.
That stuff is good.
I don't like this batch as much.
You don't?
No, I like
I'm
this.
still drinking in the batch before.
Batch 1 was pretty good. This batch I don't think so much.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the WB Saffel is fantastic.
Yeah.
Maybe the best out of the Whiskey Barons collection.
I'm
From
trying
the
to
folks
think
over there at Wild Turkey.
I'm trying to think what. Oh, I tell you where I had Bullet was at Morgan Creek
Oh, okay.
downtown at Blossom. I had Knob Creek and Makers.
So we talked about this on last week's episode. I think it was Casey Bright that posed this question. He said, when you go on a trip, you can go to the hotel bar. I'm curious. I want to get your opinion on this too. Go to the hotel bar. They have Makers, Woodford, and Knob Creek. Which of the three are you picking?
Now probably Knob Creek.
Yeah. I'm definitely in the Knob Creek boat as well.
And not a knock on the other two at all ever. It's just that's kind of where my taste has gone.
Same. Well, and for me, it's not just the flavor, but also the proof. I mean, it's a good bang for your buck at 100 proof.
Yeah.
You know, the other two are definitely good, but I just think that I would go probably more Knob Creek.
Yeah.
But anyway,
you know, as you and I don't want to rehash from last week's show or episode, but as you all were saying, if Makers did or Woodford did come out with a 10-year, you'd be blowing the roof off of people.
oh yeah,
I mean, it would stunt the bourbon market.
again, Makers, please do that.
Yeah, we would. I mean, talk about like a podcast to end all podcasts.
Yeah,
we
no kidding. No kidding.
Never knocking anything. It's just we wish you all would do that.
They have a new duty free bottle available.
Yeah.
101 proof. Which
but you gotta go to the airport.
yeah, and
you gotta go to the international.
You gotta get on a flight.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
you gotta go from Miami to the Bahamas.
Yeah, but I would love to find a bottle
Well,
of
why
that.
don't we just look for that?
We'll just go on a trip. Where are we going?
Right. Where you want to go?
I don't know.
Happy birthday.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anyway, all right. Well, let's start talking about whiskey memories. And I mean, one of the reasons that I wanted to do this too, I mean, really is just because, I mean, like I said, I'm still kind of coming down off of the high that was Whiskey Weekend Batch 1, and just thinking about all the shenanigans that we got up to, and just, you know, the crazy amount of fun that we had. And it seemed like it was all kind of centered around the whiskey or the bourbon,
right,
or whatever we were having.
And this kind of goes back to like episodes and episodes, and there's nothing like opening a bottle of something that you've either saved or you just came upon and open it with a group of friends or your wife or your sons,
whomever,
daughters, and whomever, and just, you know, sitting there and enjoying it.
Yeah.
Lately, late last year, we were over at we are in a supper club, and this is when there's 6 couples, and we try to keep it going. It's been difficult the past few years, but we were over at, I won't say names, we were over at a certain CPA's and his nurse wife's house, and the CPA is a rum connoisseur. And I won't even name, I'm not going to even name that either.
For the best.
But he was bringing out bottles of rum for us all to try. And the stuff was really good. It's not a go-to, but I mean, but you could become a rum drinker after drinking really, really good stuff, like a heavy spiced rum that goes down as smooth as anything you've ever had. But, you know, if that's what you want.
Sure. And, you know, is a little off topic, but we've talked about before how Fred Minnick has said that rum is going to be the new bourbon.
That's what
It'll
you
be
said.
the next bourbon, and I
There's
can
still
see
plenty
it.
of rum at Mom's house.
I think I think we need to, people are starting to latch on a little bit more to rye whiskey. I think that rye will be next, and then maybe rum. Mm-hmm. There's also a really growing interest in gin and gin cocktails as well.
And I see that when we go out. I mean, I see that from like cocktail menus. The other thing I don't do is I don't order cocktails like that. I want the product with a cube or neat or whatever. But there's so many restaurants, bars that have their signature cocktails, and they are coming up mostly gin these days.
Mm-hmm. Which is really cool and really interesting. And I think that it's less so maybe one culture anymore, and just kind of this overall like cocktail or drinking culture.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's not just being pigeonholed with bourbon.
Yeah.
It's just everybody wants to learn so much about so many different things.
We watch. Yes, I agree with you. And we watch, as you know, the CBS Saturday morning show, and they do a segment called The Dish, and the head chef from whichever restaurant that they have usually it's in the New York area, always brings in a cocktail for the people on the show to try. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is that half the time it's a Manhattan. I mean, granted they're in New York.
Yeah.
But I mean, it seems to be like that group's go-to drink, which makes you they'll use a Woodford or a Maker's to make a Manhattan, which is good.
Right.
I mean, I can think of bad drinking memories and
well, I mean, for every good memory, there's one that's just as bad.
Sure.
But this is about good memories, though.
Of course.
We'll talk about good times here. And
some of my latest good drinking whiskey memories have been with you guys.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, our family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
I mean,
I wind up bringing over. If we go over to mom and dad's, I'll bring something that they haven't tried or is maybe a little special or something. Like I said, we were over there for Sarah's belated birthday celebration, and one of the things I like to do, if I have it available, is if we're going over to celebrate somebody's birthday in the family, bring something that was distilled released at or around the time that they were born.
Right.
Or something that might be older than them. So, like, I brought Sarah a pre-fire Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond to try, which was fun.
It was
and
outstanding,
cool.
too, yeah.
There are those people, of course, who are hoarding bottles and saving bottles, and they'll open them and try them once and then tuck them away. But I'm so of the belief that if you got it, it's meant to be opened and shared with people.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm bringing over
right. Well,
old stuff for us to, or special stuff for us to try.
It's like when Dustin and Misty were in town,
mm-hmm.
and we finished off that bottle of Turkey 101 that we drank with Chad and Sarah.
Yeah.
When I raided my mother's liquor cabinet. And Dustin was like, "Oh, I don't want to do this," and I go, "This is what it's for."
Right.
This is what it's for. It's just been sitting there.
Well,
I hadn't touched it since. Go.
Let's talk about Dustin for a second too,
okay.
Because we got to make a pretty excellent whiskey drinking memory with Dustin.
Yeah.
At Whiskey Weekend, when Dixon Deadman brought out 3 dusty turkeys for him to try, and it was just like the heavens had opened up for him. And I think what that leads me to my next point too is that the best way to make memories in these kinds of situations is to be generous.
Yes.
With what you have,
right,
and your time, and being focused on that moment.
Sure.
With them. And I can't remember. think it was Freddie Johnson who said there's always going to be more bottles of whiskey.
And you said that to me not too long ago too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I took a pour of something and I was just like, oh man, I'm sorry, I shouldn't. You go, there's always going to be more.
There's always going to be more bourbon. I mean, that's the point. Is that
There
you get to look back on it. Yeah, exactly. You get to look back on what you've had and say that was a fantastic moment. What's next?
And so if you kill a bottle,
don't stress over it.
Don't stress over it. There's going to be more.
Yeah.
Especially in our houses. One thing that Perry and I said, and I'm going to throw this out to y'all, and I was listening to another podcast of a different sort, and I noticed the language that was used, and I just thought, everybody talks the way they want to, but when I'm on here, that stuff's not coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, and we've shifted towards being more family friendly,
Which is what it should be
as well. Yeah, so
but I'm
here for everybody.
Yeah, here for everybody. But I mean, the first few ones that I was on, and I dropped an S-bomb, and
But anyway, so this next whiskey memory bottle. This is what you brought me when I graduated.
aw,
This is Booker's Front Porch Batch, 2017-03. And I've put a dent in it.
you have, dude.
But, man, it's...
That's
good.
the first one I've ever. That's the first Booker's I ever bought.
No, you
Isn't
bought
it?
the... No,
No. Take
yeah,
it back.
because you had the Off Your Rocker,
Yeah.
too. Which, by the way, did you finish both of those bottles?
No.
Okay. Because every time I'm over, I'm like...
I know where
I don't see...
I finished
the-
one.
Yeah, I know.
It's down in the basement. It's down by the trash can.
Okay, fair enough.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I just, like, I'm always going, did he finish both of
No,
those
I
bottles?
didn't. I'm not that good. I wouldn't have done that to you.
Oh, it's fine. You know it's fine. But I would like to do, like, a Booker's Flight episode sometime in the future.
Why don't we do that? I need to get. I didn't get all of last year's. I think I didn't get the fourth.
Did you get 1, 2, and 3, though?
I got 1, 2, and 3.
Huh. I didn't know that.
And I haven't gotten this year's yet.
I haven't seen this year's yet.
Might not be out.
Period. Well, it's been announced and everything. I just haven't seen it anywhere. And I mean, I haven't even seen Elijah Craig Barrel Proof A119. You know, it's the first release from this year. So
If anybody,
it's like everybody's dragging their feet.
what is going on with you people? I know.
Oh, the nose.
Make you slap a camel. How about your birthday episode? We'll do a Perry birthday episode.
Okay,
in
sure.
August. You want to do that?
Sure, yeah, we may as well.
All right.
I think that might actually come out on my birthday this year.
Yeah, it's on a Wednesday.
Yeah,
And
that's pretty funny.
My birthday episode's on a Wednesday too.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Anyway, so this is 6 years, 5 months, 25 days, 125.9 proof.
Oh man.
It doesn't really drink like it's that high of proof.
It doesn't. When I bought the what was I'm sorry, I'm not good with
It's all right, go
what
ahead.
was the first Booker's that I bought that you were
It was the Off Your Rocker.
Off Your
the one
Rocker.
we were just talking about, yeah.
and I think at the time that I purchased 2 bottles. I think at the time they were $45.
Mm-hmm.
And like a rep from Liquor Barn or whatever was around me saying they are going to escalate this price here soon. This
Right.
is what you need to get right now. I go, should I get two bottles of it? He goes, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was green. I didn't know what I had.
Well, sure. And then you sat on them for a little while, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And I showed you, and you went.
my eyes popped out of my head. I think about would some of these memories exist for me or for us or without the bourbon?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like there are just there's some memories where it just seems to be the whiskey is just encouraging the moment.
Sure. But what if New Belgium Brewery came out with something like earth-shattering,
Well, that's
which they
fair, yeah.
do, and you're like, I've got the 6-pack. I mean, let's split it.
Yeah, exactly.
It can be with anything. It can be with the 12-year Scotch that I have at Mimi's house.
Which I still need.
I know. But it can be with anything. It can be, but I think now, like with the next Bookers or with what another batch of Kentucky Owl, and it's like, okay, it's out there. Let's see if we can find it.
Well,
and let's crack it open.
When we talked about last year about celebration bottles or celebratory pours,
Right.
Dixon will tell all the time how happy he is to hear people go, I bought a bottle of Al Batch 8 to save for when my kid was born. Smuggle it into the hospital and share a pour with my dad out of a styrofoam cup or something. You
don't have to smuggle it. You don't have to. I have had cocktails in the hospitals before. You don't have to smuggle it.
I'll keep that in mind. But just the thought of being able to have that as, that special moment, something that is special, and celebrating something that is special in that moment is so cool to me.
Yeah, and there's your memories too. I mean,
exactly.
That's what you'll never forget.
Yeah.
When John was born, and
John Ritter.
John. Oh my God. Please no.
But
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it may not be that it was always intended for this, but I just feel like bourbon it's supposed to be shared in special instances.
Sure.
It's supposed to be around when good things are happening and fun times are going on.
And if there's tough times, you don't want to revert back to drinking. But if you've had...
It's a comfort.
It's a comfort.
It's a comfort food. I've got a shirt that says bourbon is my comfort food on bourbonshop.threadless.com.
The night my dad died, I broke into a bottle of 46. I remember I sat on the counter in our house and hit off of that bottle. I don't know how much was gone. That was a hell of a memory there. Excuse me. That was a heck of a memory.
That much is fine. You can...
Oh, God. I woke up the next day. I felt rotten.
Yeah, well... That happens too.
That happens too. But anyway, I mean, that's something I will never forget.
Yeah,
but I'm not trying to bring the crowd down either.
No, and I think you have to be of the mindset too that if you're drinking bourbon,
he would have loved it.
He would have, yeah. It's a no regrets kind of situation. Yeah. It's like I don't. No matter what, I mean, unless you've done something illegal or horrible, I don't want to look back on it and go, gosh,
why?
I wish that I hadn't done that. Or, yeah.
You also hope that the bourbon isn't the reason I did something illegal.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what. Exactly right. Exactly right. But it's like I said, it's meant to encourage memories. It's meant to encourage a good time.
Sure. And make room for the next fun times.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to bring a good bottle of Kentucky bourbon to a University of Tennessee football game. And you want to take a big slug off of it every time we score on them.
I want to talk too about how, we brought it up already, but there shouldn't be that regret in finishing bottles either.
No.
You should be confident in the fact that and happy about the fact, that you broke it out with friends. You finished it with friends.
Right.
Or family or whomever. And also knowing that it can happen again. It just won't necessarily be with the same bottle.
And it won't be with the same bottle. And if it's not with the same friends, you're getting a different reaction from everybody. Mm-hmm. But you also hope that you are sharing whatever you're sharing with people that just really appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to open a bottle of Kentucky Owl if you get it, with somebody that's like, oh, it's okay. When you busted your hump to find it.
Yeah. And there's always going to be those people, too, that are going to bring it down just a little bit. But,
haters are gonna hate. I mean, I don't.
It's funny.
I know, but I mean that.
I
mean,
know. I understand.
There's haters about everything.
Yeah. It is what it is. And I mean, you have to make the most of every moment, especially when you're drinking bourbon with people. And I'll never forget staying up until 4 a.m. on the front porch of the Beaumont Inn with 4 or 5 people just talking.
That's cool.
And we're drinking really good bourbon and smoking really good cigars
right.
and just hearing each other's life stories.
Just laying it out.
And it's just, it's something I'm never, ever going to forget. But all of that not just that it had to do with the bourbon, but there were people who were willing, and I'm specifically talking about Will and the Greeze from the podcast.
Right.
They wanted to make this kind of thing happen.
Mm-hmm.
And they did spectacularly.
Right.
And, I have to say thank you, of course, to them so much because
sure.
They were a big part of it. But I really am going to treasure for a long, long time the friends that I made and the pours that we had. And just looking back on that, total no regrets.
You have talked about the weekend. I mean, this is your, 8th day removed now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you can tell when somebody has enjoyed themselves when they don't overkill the conversation, but they throw things in on a very special time that they've had, and I can tell you had a great time.
Yeah, and I have to be like, I don't want to make everything about me and just tell the story and
I do that too, man.
all that.
I do that all the time, and I feel like we come back from Chicago seeing Pearl Jam, or we do things like that. It's like seeing Eddie Vedder smash guitar and for the second time, and as Perry rolls his eyes, which was so stupid. Eddie, don't do that.
I hate it when
when
people smash guitars. It drives me crazy.
For every guitar that's smashed, you should
An angel gets the swings.
You should give 10 to deserving people.
Or like a school that needs musical equipment.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of want to move on to this little
Let's
side by side that we have going on here. So as I said before, we are doing a little comparison of Kentucky Owl Rye Batch 1 and Batch 2. And this is Dad's got a fresh crack going over there. With some very loud plastic. I'll do mine first because it's probably a little unceremonious. But I want to say thank you to Swan the Bourbon Finder for allowing me to borrow this bottle.
Thank you,
for
Swan.
This particular episode.
Oh, I haven't really looked at the label. I haven't looked at this at all. Mm-hmm. Can I divulge while you're doing that?
Yeah, sure.
So it is Batch 2, and it was bottled a year ago.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, it was bottled in March of 2018.
No kidding.
Yep.
This was July of 2017.
There you go.
So it's been around for a little while.
Perry's is a little higher proof than what I have.
Yeah, I'm at 110.6.
Yeah, I'm at 101.8.
And they're both 11 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got mine during what I like to call the Christmas Revolution.
The great
of 2018.
The Great Bourbon Storm.
Where the heavens opened up and I was like, oh.
Mine.
Kelly, the checkout lady, who's a friend of mine, she's like, uh-huh. And it was I got a story I will tell.
Sure.
Can I tell that?
Yeah. Do you want to crack it first, though?
Yeah.
So we can. Ooh, that was a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll let you pour yours first.
Okay. What am I
pouring
pouring in the?
Oh, do it in the Kentucky Owl glass.
That's what I was gonna do.
So speaking of which, when we were at Whiskey Weekend, Dixon had his big Kentucky Owl tasting for us, and he said he had all these glasses laid out, and he said, please take them home with you. I do not need as many as I got. And he had gotten like, I think he said something ridiculous, like 900 different glasses,
Creepers,
which
man.
is just bananas. So I figured it was only appropriate for us to drink Kentucky Owl out of Kentucky Owl glasses.
By the way, this is a huge memory for me as well. So, I mean,
'Cause
this
you've
is
never-
this is my first taste of Kentucky Owl.
Period.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Other glass.
Huh?
Other glass. That's batch 1.
Right.
Isn't it? Didn't you switch them?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Good deal.
Left?
Left, yes.
Jeepers.
I'm just trying to keep things consistent.
See, I'm not I've had rye.
But you're not a rye guy.
I'm not a rye guy.
So I typically find with rye that there's kind of there's more of like a spicy herbal note.
Yes, I've
To it.
noticed that.
There's more of a clove
Yeah.
to it as well.
We haven't tried it
I
yet.
think that this is a pretty stereotypical nose of rye
Yeah.
with a little bit more almost sweetness to it, I would say.
Perry, once again, have you tried this? I mean, have you had
Batch 1? Yeah.
you've had batch 1. Okay.
Yeah, I've had both of these. And when I got to I've had batch 3 on 2 occasions. Both it hasn't been released yet. It's coming out in the summer.
Right.
But I got to try it last year with Dixon when I recorded with him
Right.
at Cast Strength batch 3.
Right.
And then 2 weekends ago at Whiskey Weekend at the actual proof that it's going to be released at, which I think was 114.
Right.
I can't remember for sure.
What'd you like better?
But Cast Strength.
Did you? Of
Yeah.
course. Duh.
But it's Dixon. You trust him, and he knows what he's doing with that.
I don't know him. I want to know him. I look forward to meeting him.
We will make that happen.
I look forward to meeting him. I'm ready.
I know Dixon's listening, so.
Well, this is to you, Dixon. Wow. It's got a musty, clovey.
It's very clovey.
Yeah.
It's funny, I actually get a little bit of dill on the palate, too. Not so much as I did before. Like, I've had it before, and it's kind of been overwhelmingly dilly. But this time,
I got it.
yeah. This time, though, I'm not picking it up as much.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Then I got a little spice that time.
I got a little bit of spice. For some reason, I'm picking up a lot more vanilla than I normally do. Not just with ryes, but with this rye in particular.
This rye in particular.
Man, it's so good, though.
It's really good.
Oh, it's so good.
It's really good.
I don't think we're going to do like an actual review of these either.
I don't think so.
I just think it's easier for us to just kind of...
No, because we have a
Talk
story
about
on.
'em and-
I have a story on the bottle.
It just makes me happy.
Yeah,
It's,
me too.
It's just...
good.
Ugh.
Are you still on one, or you had?
I moved on to 2.
So, I'm not going to talk about prices about the bottle because I feel like I don't want to upset anybody.
Well, Dixon gets upset over the post MSRP prices as well.
True, but when I purchased this one, I don't think that I got hit. I told you what I think I paid for it. A little bit. I got a little bit hit. Story. After we try. I don't have the musty taste in this one.
This drinks more like a bourbon to
It does.
me than it does a rye.
It tastes like, yeah, it does.
It doesn't seem to have as much boldness, I would say, as the first one does.
True.
Like it's just it's interestingly enough,
It's smoother.
it's smoother, it's sweeter. Just kind of overall, which is just weird for a bourbon. Excuse me, for a rye. I mean, usually
It's just weird for a rye.
It's just weird for a rye. Like usually ryes have a little bit more punch to them and have a little bit more of that spice. Dang it though, there's nothing wrong, nothing bad about this.
I just went back to one just to kind of refresh.
I'm still
See, to me, the mustiness from one is gone.
really.
Yeah.
So it just I wonder what you're identifying the mustiness as. Like it could be the
And that's not a bad must. I'm not saying
no.
it's
But like I'm wondering where on that flavor spectrum you're finding that because
It hit me
it
at
shouldn't.
first.
It shouldn't be super musty.
No.
It should be, it should be fairly fresh at the very
Right.
least because, I mean, A, it's not a dusty.
No.
B, it's, really only been open for a year and a half. It's not like it's been sitting in somebody's basement.
I don't know which I like better. I don't know if I could if I could say I like either one because I like both of them because they're both different.
Yeah, and I like them for different reasons. I think I would probably, if I'm looking for a rye, if I'm looking for a whiskey that has more of those rye characteristics, I would probably lean more towards one.
I think I would too. But if I was wanting more of a bourbon rye, I'd go with
batch
two.
Yeah. I really don't have a problem with either
one of them, no.
I think they're both phenomenal.
Yeah.
And, Dixon catches a lot of flack, and he did, especially when Kentucky Owl first came out. I don't understand why there's this much flack. I mean, maybe it's the price. Maybe it's it feels like there's a little bit of a gimmick behind it or whatever. But it's not... To me, I don't feel that way about it. And maybe it's because I have a personal relationship with Dixon.
Probably.
But there's just so much good about this.
Right. Well, we're not going to review it.
No.
But I do want to say it is worth it.
I think so too. I think that, which is weird because this is one of the few times that I've looked at a premium bottle like this.
Right.
And gone, absolutely, 100% would buy again.
Right. And I would buy it again. And,
will ya?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And I'd pay the price that they have at the liquor barn for it. I will not pay the price. And here's the story. And here's the whole story. Sarah Ritter and I were in the ABC liquor store.
By the way, Sarah can be in the liquor store now. She is 21.
And this was after she turned 21. So we were in the ABC liquor store in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. And I was looking for Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, which I found.
It's just
and
wild.
2 years in a row.
Just wild.
2 years in a row, Perry. And anyway, so I'm looking around. I look up top on the top shelf, very top shelf, and he had 2 or 3 bottles of Kentucky Owl Rye this batch. And I go...
Batch 2.
And I go, oh, you have Kentucky Owl batch 2. And he's like, yeah, you want to buy it? And I go, what are you selling it for? Just to be, I said, I haven't unopened at home.
I can hear, you haven't even gotten there yet, and I can hear Dixon's blood just boiling.
I don't want to make him mad, and I don't want him upset.
It's not your fault.
But it's not my fault.
This is the same. This is what I talked about with him. This is the same crap that he runs into all the time.
And the thing is that I went to bat for him more or less.
Yeah, and I
finished the story.
Right, and I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off there, but like there is even he said this. There's even a store near him that still has a bottle of Rye Batch 2 that they're selling for $300.
That's ridiculous.
And every time he walks in, it's sitting up on the shelf,
right,
on the counter.
Do they know him?
Yes. Every time that he walks in, they take it and they immediately hide it. He knows.
I'm shaking my head, Dixon. That sucks, man. That's just awful. So the owner of the store, he was very nice, but he was a little pushy. And he was like, "Why don't you buy it?" And I go, "I have an unopened bottle at home. I'm fine right now. I'm here for the week. I think I'm good. How much is it? Do I divulge the price?"
Go for it.
$275.
It's almost $100 over retail price.
Yeah. I'm in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina.
It's so frustrating.
He's like, "Why don't you buy it?" This is honestly the conversation. I just told you I have an unopened bottle at home. I don't want to buy it. I want to enjoy the bottle I have at home. Why don't you buy it? And I said, "I don't want to." He said, "Why don't you buy it and resell it?" And I was pretty upset at that point. I did buy the Elijah Craig that I thought was a little bit overpriced, but it was worth it. But I said, "It's not me, man. I will not resell something for $50.
Yeah, and I mean,
And I know that
look,
somebody out there is probably going, hell, I'd buy it, but that's
and,
not
and
the
there
point.
and
I
there are
wouldn't do
people
it.
who do that anyway.
That's how they
And
make a living.
sure, and like that's fine. I mean, do what you want. It's just
You and Dane and I had a conversation yesterday, and I cut you off. That
it's all good.
that we are also huge music fans, as you all know, and we go to Record Store Day, which is twice a year. It's in April and on Black Friday. There are people that will get up in the morning, stand in line, buy the places out, and resell.
For 2 or 3 times the price.
And yeah, now I didn't get a Fish. I didn't get a Fish album once, and I bought it on eBay and paid like an enormous amount for it, which now I look back on it, I shouldn't have gotten it. But we open everything that we buy. We make sure that we make sure that the vendor knows that is what we do. Steve Barron down at CD Central, which is, if you're ever in Lexington and you're a music fan, that's where you need to go to buy music.
Go check him out.
Tell him you know me,
And he'll know what that means.
and he'll know exactly what that means. Steve Barron. I gotta tell this story.
Okay.
This isn't a whiskey story.
Go ahead. Dang, that Rye Batch one, though, is really good.
It's pretty darn good. I was president of Little League that Perry and Dane played in. So I kept a lot of baseballs in my car. And one day I was in the local Best Buy.
Oh, man. I forget about this story all the time.
And at the time...
Dang it, this is such a good story.
At the time, his son was playing for the Lexington Legends, which is our single A baseball team. And
whose son, Dad?
Roger Clemens.
Roger freaking Clemens.
This is Roger Clemens. He walks into Best Buy, and I'm like, I think whatever I had in my hand, I dropped. And I ran out to my car, and I knew I had like 4,000 baseballs in my Honda Pilot. I grab a Sharpie, which I always keep with me, and a baseball. And I'm like, stalk him. He's like, what do you got? And I go,
because he knows.
Roger, do you mind signing this for me? And he's like, no, not at all. So I have an authentic Roger Clemens signed baseball that I will never sell. And it's, I don't know, even with the steroid problems and everything, I don't know what it's worth. But it doesn't matter.
Who's to say?
Because it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not bad. Not bad at all.
And it says Cy Young 7 or however many he's won on it.
Well, that was kind of a off-topic end there to this comparison. But
I wouldn't mind drinking with Roger Clemens, though.
Hey, man, that's not a bad idea at all. But let's go with Dixon first, and then we'll try to get Roger on the show.
I want to do it, Dixon.
I think the point of this little comparison is that you just can't go wrong with either of these bottles.
Mm-mm.
Sure, it's going to bust the bank a little bit, but I don't think that there's anything wrong with buying a bottle, splitting it with your buddies.
Never.
Because that means that not only are you getting to enjoy it, but they're getting to enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
It makes sense to, for the experience, and especially in this case, going in a little bit more with some friends. Because that is going to be a thing that creates memories. And will be a conduit for things that you'll never forget.
Family means everything. Friends means everything.
Mm-hmm.
You unite those with something else that you love, such as your favorite bourbon or somebody else's favorite bourbon.
Right.
Even if you don't like it.
Yeah.
You sit there and you enjoy it.
Yeah. exactly.
If you don't like Russell's, and the only reason I'm saying that is because I'm looking at a bottle.
saw it, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't like, let's go back to Chad and Sarah's house.
That old Fitz.
I've got old Fitzgerald. I still have it down in the basement. You know, it's gonna be killed one day.
Eventually. Not today, though.
No.
Not today. Well, I think that about does it for us.
What
though.
a fun one. I
So,
hope everybody
yeah.
enjoyed it.
Yeah,
This has been a fun show.
I think they did. I think that this is going to be I think people are really going to enjoy this one. We're not done yet, though. We still have tips and bits.
We do.
Yes.
I've got a couple.
I got a couple as well.
All right. You want me to go first?
I would love for you to go first.
I'm not a big hip hop fan. Like Mac Miller's Swimming album.
You took mine.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I'll tag out and do something
No,
else.
it's fine because that's.
Well, I'll tell you what. You do it anyway. I've been listening to the Stones.
It's still going to be mine.
I've been listening to the Stones. I put on Beggar's Banquet the other night. I put on Some Girls, and those guys, man, the Stones. You can't go wrong with the Rolling Stones. I've seen 2 movies lately. Bohemian Rhapsody, which is good. It's got some timeline questions that you kind of shake your head at.
We'll talk about that off air because I know what you're talking about. Like I haven't seen it, but
I don't want to ruin it.
I know what you're talking about.
I don't want to ruin it, but excuse me, it's still entertaining, and if you're not a Queen fan, you can still like catch a vibe of what a band was in the 70s through the mid 80s, and Freddie Mercury was not only a vocalist and a frontman, but he was a showman. The other one is A Star Is Born. A Star Is Born is very good.
Still not seen it either.
Everybody should do themselves a favor and see it. You will believe a raccoon can play the guitar. Bradley Cooper. I've been saving that. Bradley Cooper is fab. I love Lady Gaga. I'm not a fan of her music. Perry's just on the floor rolling loud. Sam Elliott is amazing.
Oh, was he in it?
Yeah.
He's a great actor. I love him.
He's really good. He's really good. He's the glue of the movie. It's a very you will be mad, you will laugh, you will cry, and you'll cry a lot.
I'm here for it.
The other thing I want to see, I haven't seen it yet, but man, I'm dying to see it, and I'm going to see it this week.
What's that?
The Dirt, the Motley Crue movie.
Oh yeah,
on Netflix.
Yeah, I've heard it's really good.
I've heard today that the book is better than the movie, but I don't have time to read. And I have one shout out.
Shout him out, Dad.
And Perry's going to roll his eyes again.
Probably.
But Perry's going to be doing something with me in a few weeks that he'll understand when I say this. But today, they announced the main event at WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're going to WrestleMania.
No, we're not going to WrestleMania. We're going to Monday Night Raw.
We're going to Monday Night Raw. Whatever.
But I wish we were going to WrestleMania. It's up in New York, and we'd have great
Yeah.
memories up there, too. It's the first ever women's match.
Really?
First ever women's main event match at WrestleMania, and it is Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, and my favorite, the man, Becky Lynch. So I have a shout out for Becky Lynch right now.
I'll probably tag her on Instagram.
And I was going to tag her when you put it out too, because the man, I saw you a few months ago. I'm a huge Becky Lynch fan, and this is your belt, Becky. I yelled that out to you. This is your belt, Becky.
Oh, gosh. Well, I got a couple of tips and bits as well.
Let's go, Perry.
My first one is, again, Mac Miller's Swimming album. I for about 72 hours, I couldn't stop listening to it.
it's-
I mean, I was cranking it in my car. If I was home, I had it on my phone or on the Google Home or whatever.
Yeah, we played it at our house on Google Home. I have the vinyl.
It's so
It's
funny. I
sad,
get
too.
no, it is, but I get so fascinated with musicians who have passed away.
Yeah, me too.
You know, and I mean that's evident in so much of my
Tragically.
musical taste. Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix, Jeff Buckley, and now really Mac Miller too. And
Well, that even ties back to the Stones, what I was saying, because Brian Jones, you know, he was a fabulous guitarist and underrated. Keith is a great, I'm interrupting you, he's a great rhythm guitarist. Ronnie Wood, Mick Taylor, Brian Jones, they were the lead guitarists, or are the lead guitarists.
well, Keith used to be able to rip it though,
He did.
but now my other one though, and we just finished this newest season last night, but the newest season of Queer Eye's out, and oh my gosh, it's so good.
Sarah is like dying for me to
It's
start watching it.
amazing. I mean, I was crying during a couple of episodes because
Really?
it's just the cool thing about it. And I only ever saw like bits and pieces of the original Queer Eye for the Straight Guy.
Right.
And this is now just Queer Eye. Like it's gone beyond.
There's no straight guy.
Well, it's gone beyond trying to, you know, help just straight guys out. Like there are.
Right.
Anyway, you understand
I
what I'm saying.
understand.
But like it just is so, it's so emotional.
That's crazy.
It's fantastic.
Really?
I mean, really some of the best TV I've seen
Okay.
in a little while.
All
And I think that you guys would enjoy it.
Right?
And I think you guys, you the listener, would enjoy it as well.
Pointing at everybody.
You.
You?
You. But it's a really good show, and I really enjoyed it, and I encourage people to go check it out.
Well, one thing Dane suggested to me, and then we got to wrap. And, you know, I'm waiting for the daggers to head my way. Was I have not watched a second of Game of Thrones. And I know Perry hasn't either.
I can't get into it.
and-
I've tried. I haven't been able to get into it.
Dane and Lindsay are watching it right now,
Yeah.
and they were like, "You
Everybody
really?"
is.
I know, and I can watch it on demand and all.
Yeah. It's just not my bag.
All right.
It's not my bag. But anyway.
Are you gonna tag Becky in this?
Of course I will.
This is awesome.
We'll see why not. But we do have to wrap it up, though.
I know. I gotta go home.
Yeah, thank you all so much for listening. Thanks, Dad, for being on this
Thanks,
week.
Perry,
We'll
for having me.
Do it
It's
again.
always a joy.
Do it again soon.
I hope we don't. Yeah, I hope I don't wear my welcome out.
You know what we should do, since you're not really a rye guy, and I kind of wanted to do this with this week's episode, but he was unavailable, was to have Iverson on again.
Oh yeah.
Because he's a huge rye guy.
Yeah.
And have you kind of get a crash course in
That
rye
would be
from him.
cool.
So we'll
Yeah.
set something up in
I'd
the
love
future.
that.
But yeah. Anyway,
What a ball.
where can people find you on social media?
You can find me Facebook. As we know, I've opened up my Facebook. Y'all, David Ritter at Facebook. On Twitter, JD Ritter 2. On Instagram, it's Ritter5.
Yeah.
There's fresh pictures of Forrest, Dane's doggy, and there's a few Metallica pictures from the other couple weeks ago, and there's some black and white pictures that need explaining. But follow me. I follow back.
Yeah.
I follow back. I don't. You know, a year ago, I was kind of guarded about Facebook. I'm not that much anymore.
Yeah, it is what
I'm
it
not
is.
that private.
I don't put anything, special enough on there to.
Yeah, I put the same thing on the other two. That Twitter, I put
Exactly.
different things.
Yeah.
But
Facebook is mostly just me,
Yeah.
promoting the show, or
right.
our social media.
And I
accounts.
follow
So,
you, and I retweet, and
Yeah.
but out of all three, I like Twitter the best. I
What
think.
everybody's hearing is you don't have to follow either of us.
No, I want all the followers I can get.
Yeah,
I'm
I
a
know.
follower junkie.
You have more followers on Twitter than I do.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
A lot of those are like Pearl
have about-
Jam and Jets and Mets.
Yeah, you have like twice as many followers on Twitter as
I'll
I do,
take them all.
which I think is really funny. But anyway,
But I'm not a verified account, which makes me mad. I think I should be a verified account.
we'll get to work on that.
Fred Minnick, help me out.
If you want to follow up with me, I am at PRitter1492 on social media. If you want to follow up with the show, though, we are at My Bourbon Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Give us a 5-star rate and review on iTunes. That really does help us out, get more people seeing the show and listening. You can head to bourbonshop.threadless.com if you'd like to find all of our apparel and merch. Let's see what else.
Patreon.
Patreon.com/MyBourbonPodcast. We're almost at $200 a month.
That's
It's
awesome.
crazy. It's really awesome. So
I guess I need a chip, man.
you get bonus content over there. You get to be a part of a really fun community. Once we get a little bit higher on our goal, we're going to be doing exclusive hangouts on Google or Skype. I'm not quite sure yet with the patrons. And so that's going to be a whole lot of fun. We're just a little under 2 weeks away, but there are still a few tickets left
Come on, buy them up here,
for
kids.
the very first live show of This Is My Bourbon Podcast in Louisville at the Silver Dollar. It's going to feature Women of Bourbon, Peggy No Stevens, Sarah from It's Bourbon Night, Andrea Wilson from Michter's.
The last person that buys a ticket, I'll buy him a drink.
There you go. If
That's
that's not
it.
incentive, I don't know
The
what
last
is.
person, when the last, you have to go. I'm the last guy or gal.
I'll let you know at the very least.
But it's got to be in reason.
Yeah. And the night before, on April 5th, we're going to be having a meetup in Louisville as well at Couvillon, which is a fantastic Cajun restaurant. So definitely, if you can make that, or maybe if you can't make the live show and you just want to come and hang out with us, have a few good pours and some dinner, definitely do that. You can find all that information on Facebook. So absolutely, please.
The entire
do
Ritter
that.
family will be there.
Yes, we all. Well, yes. Thank you all so much for listening. Dad, thanks for being on.
Perry,
again.
thank you very much. I appreciate it. I always have a great time, and I love you guys. And
It's a fun
thanks for the
time.
love, man.
It's a fun time.
I mean, it's like I don't want to overkill it,
Oh.
but in my mind, I'm like, please put me on. I want to go back. I can't wait for the next time.
You'll be on again. But until then, I'm Perry, and this is My Bourbon Podcast.